Today's video is brought to you by Card Kingdom, and you can order all the Strixhaven cards you need right now by heading over to cardkingdom.com. Hello everyone, it's Seth, probably better known as Saffron Olive, and it's time for a super special video. So today, we're talking about the cost of Strixhaven on Magic Arena. I know, we've talked about the Arena economy before, but Strixhaven, it's a record-breaking set, and not in a good way. This is a set that has broken records by being the most expensive set to complete on Magic Arena, at least for standard sets, and possibly even including supplemental products. But I know for sure it is the most expensive of standard legal sets. So I want to do a couple of things today. I want to talk about my experience trying to collect Strixhaven on Magic Arena and just how much it's costing me. I want to compare it a little bit to other places like Paper and on Magic Online. Also talk about why Strixhaven in specific is so expensive and whether or not the reasons that Strixhaven are expensive are things that we can expect to transfer over to other sets. Like, is this the new normal of sets being as expensive as Strixhaven? Or are these unique factors with Strixhaven that make it more expensive? So anyway, let's start by just looking at my collection. And I should say, I also have an article on the site on the same topic that this video is going along with, so you should check that out. Our numbers are very, very slightly different today because when I wrote the article, that was Wednesday. And then on Thursday, we did some drafting on stream, and we actually did good and won like a bunch of packs and also open packs for our draft. So the numbers might be very, very slightly different than the article because of those extra 20 or something packs. But anyway, here is where I'm at. I have spent around $350. I've opened somewhere between 300 and 350 packs on Magic Arena of Strixhaven. And if you look at my collection, this is the Mythics that I've gotten from those 300 and something packs. I've already gotten all the rares. I've already gotten all the uncommons. I've already gotten all the commons. Like, that is done. So it's just about Mythics and then also Mystical Archives, which we'll get to in a minute. But if you look through my collection at the Mythics from the set, with $350-ish spent, I have about 70% of the Mythics. There's 21 Mythics in the set, which is a really high number, the highest we've seen. So I have 70% of them, which means my $350-ish is not enough. I actually did the math in the article, and I figured that so far, including all my wild cards, I know there's 4 Mythics, but I had a few before I started opening Strixhaven. So far, it's costing me a little bit over $5 per Mythic, and that is all the ones I open naturally in the packs, along with all of my wild cards, which might not sound absolutely ridiculous, like $5.26, might not sound horrible, although actually, if you compare that to the cost of like Paper or on Magic Online, it's really not that great. It's like slightly lower than Paper, significantly more than Magic Online, although it's also worth mentioning, Arena, you can't sell or trade your cards. And one of the biggest issues I have with the economy is how hard it is to get the cards you want. One of the tricks Wizards pulled by making this economy so the only way to get cards as a constructed player is just to open a bunch of packs, either hope you open what you want or to get wild cards, is Wizards has essentially found a way to make people pay full price for cards that they don't want to get the cards they do want. And here's an easy example of this. Even for me, someone who plays 10 different decks a week and needs a lot of different cards to make this happen, I don't really care about ecological appreciation. Like, I don't have a deck upcoming with this. I don't think it's an especially playable card in any format I'm interested in. If I had my choice, I would not own ecological appreciation. I just don't have anything to do with ecological appreciation. So in my dream world, ecological appreciation, I would own 0 copies. However, I own 3 copies. I haven't spent wild cards on them, but I have just gotten those mass opening packs to get the cards I do need. On the other hand, I have 0 copies of Velomachus Lorehold. Somehow I've opened close to 350 packs, and I have 0 Velomachus Lorehold in all those packs, and that is a card that I do need. I do need Velomachus Lorehold because I've seen a ton of Sweet Brews people have been sending me for this card. So somehow Wizards has gotten me to pay $5.26 per copy of ecological appreciation that I don't want, but I don't have an easy way to get the copies of Velomachus Lorehold that I do want other than opening a bunch of packs so I can hit wild cards, so I can turn them into Velomachus Lorehold. So that's where I'm at with Mythics. After $350-ish, I am roughly 70% completed, which means I'm probably going to need to spend another $150-ish to actually get the rest of the mythics. The other unique part of Strixhaven is the mystical archives. And if you look at the mystical archives, the rarity is relatively high. We have a bunch of mythic mystical archives, which most of them were originally rares. Some of them, like Time Warp, would undoubtedly be a mythic if it was printed today, but many of them, Blue Sun Zenith, Approach of the Second Sun, Day of Judgment, are clearly rares. So if we look at the numbers on these, there are a total of 12 mythic mystical archives that are not banned in Historic. The numbers are even worse if you consider the banned ones. I don't really care about the banned ones because I care about playing Historic and not just having everything in my collection for no reason. So with those 350-ish packs, I have gotten a total of 60% of the mythic mystical archives. I figure I'm paying over $10 a pop to get a mythic mystical archive based on the number that I've gotten so far. This also includes some of my wildcard spending, like I spent wildcards on Time Warp for a deck that we played a little bit on stream. So this is including all the wildcards I've opened in those packs as well, and that's a really high cost. If you look at mystical archives, they cost roughly the same on Magic Arena as they do in paper. You can get the paper versions of these cards for very close to the same price. On Magic Online, the average cost is like 50 cents or something, which is ridiculously cheap, but on Arena it's over $10, and that is taking into account the fact that in paper on Magic Online, you can actually trade the cards that you don't want to get the cards you do want, or sell the cards that you don't want to get actual cash money. On Arena, you just have them forever. And the problem gets even worse when you look at the specific cards. Like, we have this Approach to the Second Sun, in which I was forced to spend $10 on. Didn't spend a wild card, of course, because I don't want this Approach to the Second Sun. And this is where you can see how the economy is even a little bit worse than what our numbers suggest. Because let's get out of this mystical archives for a moment and let's just type in Approach to the Second Sun. So Approach to the Second Sun, I already got 4 copies. I don't even play Approach to the Second Sun, but I got 4 copies from Amonkhet Remastered. And now I am getting more copies of a mythic one that's costing me $10 a piece and eating up a slot that could be going to a mystical archive that I wanted to. So even though I already own all the Approach to the Second Suns that I'll ever need to play with, Wizards is essentially forcing me to pay $10 a piece for copies of Approach to the Second Sun that I have no desire for, that are locked into my account forever, so I can try to get the Mind's Desires, which is a mystical archive that I do want, because the only way to get these cards is to open a bunch of packs to get wild cards or hope you get lucky and open what you want. So all around, with $350-ish of spending into Strixhaven, I'm not even really that close to completing the set, in all honesty. Like, I still probably need to spend another $200, at least $150, to be able to complete the mystical archives that I need, to be able to complete the mythics from the set that I need. And now I've reached that point, the horrible, horrible point, which is so weird to say, where I've already completed the lower rarity cards. So let's look at what packs do for me now. Let's grab some packs. I'm going to have to buy them anyway. So I mentioned I need Velomachus Lorehold. So I need Velomachus Lorehold. How do I get Velomachus Lorehold? Well, I will go over here to the pack tab. Let's buy 30 packs. Let's buy 30 packs. So I need Velomachus Loreholds. How do I get Velomachus Loreholds? What do these 30 packs actually do for me? Well, here is pack number 10, our first 10 packs. Open them up. I got a banned mystical archive. I got another $10 Approach for the Second Sun that I already have a full playset of thanks to Amonkhet Remastered, and a Tainted pack, which is fine. I already have one of them, which is all you really need because you can't really play too many more than one of them. And I got no more Mythics, although the wildcard wheel is slowly filling, and a bunch of gems, because that's what you get once you've completed the lower rarity stuff. Wizards gives you a tiny amount of gems for your cards. So let's open our next 10 packs. How is our quest for Velomachus Lorehold going? Okay, so we got a Mythic wild card. We also filled the wildcard wheel, so we're +2 Mythics. We got a Hoffrey, which, I mean, it's a Mythic that we do need. It's not the one we're looking for. We are now to the point of getting banned rare mystical archives as well. So let's open our last 10 packs. We open the next 10 packs. We get no Mythics. We fill, well, some of the rare wildcard wheel. We get another $10 Approach to the Second Sun. So we just spent $30. And what do we get for our $30? We get I think 3 random main set mythics. We got mystical archives that we either don't want because we already have 4 copies of, or are banned in all competitive formats, so they don't really do anything. And we got 2 mythic wild cards, which means those 30 packs, those $30, they did not actually get us especially close to our goal of Velomachus Lorehold. So I'm still trying to build that Velomachus Lorehold deck. We can spend those 2 wildcards we got to get half of them, but what does that mean? That means, what can I do to get the rest of those Velomachus Loreholds? I have to go back to the store. I have to open another $30 worth of packs or whatever, try to get another couple wild cards, and that is the issue with this economy. So, oh my goodness, is it punishing? So I figure it's going to cost me $500 to $600 to get all the cards I need. And I know, I'm in a unique position. Not everyone needs every card all the time. I get that. I understand that. At the same time, as we've been talking about, I don't even need any card, but the way the arena economy is set up, it forces you to get every card. Like, I still have 1 Professor Onyx, which is a mythic I might play, but I have 4 Shattering Silverquill, which is a mythic I'm almost certainly not going to play in a constructed format. I only have 1 Rowan Scholar of the Sparks, even though I've opened, over 350 packs now, for sure. So I'm missing cards that I actually do need, and the only way to get those cards, we still go back to our Velomachus, which doesn't even show up because we have 0 copies. Still, somehow, after a huge number of packs, I still need these Velomachuses, so let's go back to the store, buying more packs, trying to get those precious wild cards, so I can use those wild cards to build the deck I need, and do that again and again and again. So that's where I'm at with Arena Economy. As far as Strixhaven in specific, why is it so expensive? Some of these things, just like the general cost, the way the economy works, needing to mass open packs to try to get wild cards, to try to get the cards you need, being forced to pay for reprints that you already have, being forced to pay for ecological appreciations that you don't really want, those apply to any set, but there's 2 big reasons that Strixhaven in specific breaks records for cost on Arena. And the first is, Strixhaven has an absurd number of mythics. There are 21 different mythics in Strixhaven. If you look back at Magic sets, traditionally over the whole mythic era of Magic, large sets like Strixhaven have 15 mythics. The one exception throughout Magic's history has been double face cards. But even though there are some double face cards in this set, the way that double face cards used to work was much more player friendly. If you go back to like the original Innistrad block, or even Shadows over Innistrad block, when we were getting double face cards there, they came in their own special slot. They were in the double face card slot, so you could open a double face mythic like Blex and also a normal mythic like Ecological Appreciation in the same pack, because the MDFC or double face mythics were essentially just bonus cards. Now, the double face cards actually just show up like normal cards. Like, if you open a Blex, you're not getting a Ecological Appreciation because Blex is your mythic. They're not in a special bonus slot. They are just mixed in. So that is a 25% increase of mythics that we need to get in Strixhaven. The same is also true of the last 2 MDFC sets, Kaldheim and Zendikar Rising. They both had 20 mythics as well with the same issue. Although Strixhaven took it even a step further, we actually have 21 different mythics thanks to Mascot Exhibition, and the lessons are in their own slot. So the lessons are kind of like double face cards used to be. So in some sense, Mascot Exhibition is a bonus mythic that if you're just opening normal boosters, you're kind of going to get them naturally in that special lesson slot. However, on Arena, the packs are different. On Arena, your packs do not have a guaranteed lesson slot. Instead, it's just a normal mythic. So if we open up a Strixhaven pack or 2, we're gonna keep going with this pack opening. As you can see, because the packs are smaller sizes and have less cards, there is no like free slot to get a second mythic Mascot Exhibition. There's no guarantee that you're gonna get a lesson in every single one of these packs in the store. You're never going to get a awesome mythic and then also a Mascot Exhibition, because that's just not how the set is set up on Magic Arena. So that's another problem. The other reason that Strixhaven is so ridiculously expensive is the mystical archives, and I think we gotta have a little bit of a rant here. So if we look at the mystical archives, I love these cards. I love that Wizards is shaking up Historic. I think they're fun to play with, but we have a pretty major issue as far as rarity. If we look at, let's say, the rare Mystical Archives, if you actually count up all the rares in this set, more than half of them were commons. If you were going to buy one of these in paper, a Sign in Blood, a Faithless Looting, a Mana Tithe, a Doomblade, there are common printings available that make these cards really, really cheap. So in paper, on Magic Online, these are just reprints. They're optional. If you want the cool new art, you can pay a premium for them. If you don't want them, that's fine. No, you don't have to do it. You can pay a $1 Brainstorm instead of the expensive Mystical Archive Brainstorm. On Arena, though, these are new cards. These are legal in Historic for the first time. Many of them have not been on the client before, and you kind of need them if you're going to play Historic. And having to pay a rare wild card to get a card that has always been a common like Faithless Looting, it's pretty egregious. There really isn't any reason I can think of for the rarity of Mystical Archives being what it is, other than Wizards trying to drain wildcards out of players, in all honesty. It's so easy to fix. Wizards could have either lowered the rarity of all the Mystical Archives in paper and on Arena, but still distributed them at the same rate, or they could have just been like, hey, we want to jack up the rarity for the sake of, I don't know, it looking cool in our booster packs or whatever justification they'd have, but we know that Faithless Looting is really a common. We know that Brainstorm has been printed at common an infinite number of times. So you know what? We're going to let you spend wild cards based on the real rarity of the card, not the inflated rarity of Mystical Archives. Wizards took neither of those choices. So now players have to spend a ton of rare wild cards to get commons. Essentially, like I said, more than half of the rares in this set are commons. If we go to the Mythics, many of the Mythics are rightfully rares. Some of them, are probably Mythic. Like Time Warp, I'm not going to quibble with that being Mythic, but like Blue Sun Zenith, Day of Judgment, those are very clearly rare cards that are draining Mythic wild cards out of players. So Wizards went really crazy with this rarity and made sure that these cards cost a lot. And you might remember, when Historic first started, Wizards wanted to charge us literally double to play the format. They wanted it to be so if you wanted any Mythic that was not legal in a standard set, or any rare that was not legal in a standard set, rather than paying a wild card of the proper rarity, you'd have to pay 2 wild cards. People freaked out. There was a big pushback. Wizards eventually walked back that very player-unfriendly decision, and at the time it felt good. It felt like we had won. It felt like we finally got some concessions out of Hasbro to make Arena a little bit cheaper, but I think we should have known better. I think we should have known that when it comes down to it, the big corporations are going to always win. So sure, maybe we don't have to spend 2 wild cards to get the Historic cards we need, but it seems like with Mystical Archives, Hasbro found a way to just get us to pay rare wild cards for commons and get us to play Mythic wild cards for rares and do this really consistently and make it cards that are necessary to play one of the more popular formats on the Arena client. So even though it felt like we made Arena cheaper when Wizards walked back the double wildcard thing, in the end, Wizards just going to find another way, and Hasbro's just going to find another way to get the money out of us. So that's my feelings on the Arena economy and on Strixhaven. Are these factors going to remain in the future? It's not 100% clear. I would be surprised if we had Mystical Archives every set, but I do think we will see Mystical Archive-like cards more because it seems super profitable to Arena. Like, people gotta spend a lot of wild cards to get these cards. Are we going to continue to see 20-plus main set Mythics in sets moving forward? Or is this just a MDFC thing? Only time will tell. Like, I could see this continuing. Maybe Wizards has decided that this is a way they can up the cost of the set a little bit and also print more Mythics, which Mythics are exciting and players like opening a Mythic. So in that sense, I guess it's kind of a win. But I would not be surprised if we just see the Mythics stick around and we see 20 Mythics to increase the number of packs you have to buy on Arena to actually compete the set. And because the economy is so convoluted and so player unfriendly and there's no way to just buy the card you need, the more Mythics that you make, the more Mythics people have to pay full price for that they don't want to get the Mythics that they do want. So all around, Strixhaven's super expensive. It is the most expensive set that we've seen on Arena. I know. As I said in the intro, this is my experience. If you are free to play playing through Strixhaven and you are loving it, or you're a heavy drafter and you're winning, 5-6 matches a draft and you're like, I got a huge collection just from drafting a million times. That is amazing. That is awesome. The thing is, what makes Magic great is there's a lot of ways to play it. And I don't think that you should have to draft to make the arena economy functional. I don't think you should have to be a free-to-play player who is willing to build one deck and play it for a couple of months to try to earn another deck to make the arena economy functional. I would like to see the arena economy be functional for everyone. And some of these issues, I think, impact free-to-play players way more than they impact me. In a very real sense, I'm super lucky. I'm privileged, blessed, whatever. I make Magic content for a living. So I can justify, and thankfully I have Goldfish to help pay for stuff, spending a bunch of money on Magic cards because I need it for my job and I play a ton of decks each week. So that's fine. Like, this battle isn't about me. Like, I get to get all the cards that I need to play Magic Arena, but this hurts everyone. If you're a free-to-play player, one thing I've learned is free-to-play players tend to be pinched on rare wild cards. I've heard this time and time again, because I'm always like, I'm short on Mythics. Free-to-play players, or mostly free-to-play players, are always pinched on rares. Well, you know what is going to be very painful for a free-to-play player who doesn't have a lot of extra rare wild cards? That's going to be spending a rare wild card on Mana Tithe, or Ephemerate, or Brainstorm, or Memory Lapse, or Faithless Looting, or any of these other mystical archives that are not just some random cards that are janky that you don't really need. These are the foundation of the historic format. So if you're a free-to-play player, this is going to hurt you even more than it hurts a whale like me who's just going to spend all the money anyway. So all around, we really need something to change. And I think for me, the biggest thing is, Arena's expensive. It has always been expensive. I'm under no illusion that I'm going to make this video and that Wizards going to be like, hey, guess what? We've been charging y'all way too much. Here's a huge discount. Here's a bunch of gems in your collection. Or, we're going to make systemic changes and cut the pack price in half or anything like that. I don't have any illusion that that's going to happen. I will say, if there's one thing I would make a stand on in this entire video, it's the rarity of the Mystical Archives is basically a travesty. And it's really unfair, and you know what's going to happen. You know 100%. Have you ever bought a card style, and then you go to the store, and it shows up 75% off a couple of days later in the store, and you're like, wow, you just really punished me for paying full price for this thing that you're selling. I should have just waited. Why would I ever pay full price for a card style? I should just wait till it shows up on sale in the store. You know that's going to happen with these Mystical Archives. You know that now that Faithless Looting is legal in Historic, or Brainstorm's another good example. Brainstorm gets reprinted in master sets pretty frequently, so you know that there's going to be a master set that shows up on Arena, or a Jumpstar, or something like that, and we're going to have common Brainstorm, because that's the rarity of Brainstorm, or common Faithless Looting, because that's the rarity of Faithless Looting, and you're going to have already spent a bunch of rare wildcards, precious, scarce, rare wildcards to get your Faithless Lootings, and then you're going to see it show up at this huge discount of common a few months later. So Wizards is kind of punishing you for being an early adapter, and for picking up and playing their format, and for buying their new cards, because you know the common cheap versions are going to be coming. So if Wizards does continue to do Mystical Archives, and I hope they do, I really, 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 really hope that they take and fix the rarity on Magic Arena, because it is just really not fair. It's keeping people out of Historic. It's making the client ridiculously expensive, even more so than it already is. Like, even if you remove Mystical Archives from the equation altogether, Strixhaven is still more expensive than a normal set because of the number of Mythics in it. But because of the Mystical Archives and their greatly inflated rarity, this set is just absurdly expensive. So anyway, that's my experience trying to collect Strixhaven on Magic Arena in this ridiculous economy. Let me know what you think. As I said, I know it's my experience. I know most of you don't play 10 decks a week. I know some of you play a lot of limited. How has it been for you? Are you getting Mystical Archives? Do you have the rare wild cards to get Faithless Looting so you can play Historic? How much of the set have you completed? What do you do to interact with this economy that I see is very player unfriendly, not just for me, but for all of you, but give me your experience is in the comment. And like I said, make sure to check out the article. Lots of numbers in there, go pretty in depth on a lot of these same topics. But anyway, that has been our video for today. Strixhaven, Arena's most expensive set. Thanks for watching. I hope you all enjoyed it, and I will talk to you soon.
Thanks for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, help us out by clicking that like button down below. And to keep up on all the latest and greatest, click that subscribe button. And don't forget to hit that bell icon to get alerts whenever we have new videos. And if you want to, check out some of our other sweet videos here and here.